All right, all right, all right. Welcome back for another brand new episode of the Beyond Expectation podcast with the two most favorite co-hosts in the entire world, myself, Eduardo, and my boy Brett. For all those that don't know or probably new or that came across our podcast, welcome. Dynamic duo here. You're more than
Yeah.
welcome to join our little tribe, as we call it. But brother, before we embark on this crazy journey, as always, I'd like to ask you the most important question of them all while you're downing your your milk or juice, whatever it is.
I got some fruit juice.
Okay. I want to ask you one of the most important questions of them all. How are you doing today, brother?
Mm. Doing really good. I'm
Yeah.
super excited to be here. I'm glad that we could break bread like this. This is one of my weekly highlights, Like, man, I got my boy, he's got some topics rearing up. I've got some topics rearing up, and we get to share it with the world. So like this is like a highlight of my week. So I am blessed to be here.
It's like the missed conversations we definitely need to have because before, a little history for people that don't know, but I'm going to say it again anyways for those who have tuned in from episode 1 up until now. Me and Brett used to work together in the same area. We would talk about just the most random topics, and then obviously we got pulled to different areas, and then we just said, screw it, let's just start a podcast, and why not? That's what we did.
Right.
So that way, the missed conversations we could have had back then, we're having them now as all this stuff happens throughout the week and just throughout the year, just craziness that happens all over the world, to be specific. We bring it in here in the virtual studio and we discuss a little bit of everything here and there. So this is
a little bit of an upgrade from our workplace environment to be able to talk. I was just decided to hang some socks up on the thing. I'm getting comfortable over here.
Just letting them dry. Like, are you doing your laundry while we're recording this podcast too?
You're killing two birds right off the feet.
There's a meme that I saw. There's a meme that I saw actually, speaking of that, because I'm a fan of memes. I mean, who isn't, right? But they're like, when someone works so hard, even the socks stand still when you take them off. Like standing still. It's so crusty. Oh man, that's a good one though.
That was good.
Chuckle, dude.
That was solid.
But you're right. We do have a lot to cover ground today. I mean, if you want to jump into it, wait, I actually want to ask you just first and foremost. You had a little trip to Montana, correct?
I went to Montana.
Yeah.
I went to Silverwood. Over in Idaho.
What I think Montana. Why did I come to mind? Anyways,
it's all good.
How was that though? How was that? Did you enjoy yourself? It looked fun. That's all I want to say. Just before we break ground on these topics that we got lined up.
Yeah, it was actually it delved into chaos. My wife and I fought the whole time, and then the family didn't understand the concept of like at the end of the day, we meet around the fire. Everybody's like, no, I'm cold, I'm doing my own thing, I'm staying inside. So I literally sat around the fire 2 nights in a row getting drunk all by myself. And so I that's how that goes. So I guess we gotta revisit the whole family tradition thing. I gotta reassert dominance. I didn't even feel like a dad. I just felt like just this powerless man that just pays for everything.
Who doesn't love a fire though? Actually, that's what we did when we went to our 4th of July cabin trip, like I talked about when I passed previous episode or 2 episodes ago, I believe. Dude, it's just cool. It's just one of those things where you just have close friends or family and you just enjoy yourselves by the campfire and just talk about the most random. It's like a podcast, literally, but in real life. You know what I'm
literally
saying?
Yeah. So, and I guess I'm the only podcaster of the family. But I do you did come to mind though. When I was over there, I was like looking up at the sky, obviously, taking a gaze up at the heavens above us, and I was thinking of you, and I'm just like, man, how cool would it be if I could see, have my own UAP / UFO experience. No luck for this guy. I mean, I'm 40 years old, and for 40 years of me just gazing up at the heavens, I have yet to see one.
Oh, brother. Well, dude, I mean, in regards to that, this will be a perfect segue into the first topic of discussion on this episode. Nice. And yes, so the big topic that has been about UFOs and UAPs, obviously, for those people that live under a rock, there was an actual open congressional hearing in regards to just UAPs in general. That's what the government name is calling these things, right? Unidentified
aerial phenomena.
Aerial phenomena. Anomalies. Why did I say anomalies? But anyways,
that's okay. Anally.
We're professionals over here. We're professionals over here.
I said anally for 3 years.
Sure, we can call it that. Why not? But overall, there was an open congressional hearing about these UFOs slash UAPs, right? And obviously, the gentleman in under the microscope right now, as of well, there's multiple actually. There's multiple whistleblowers, but one of the key guys right now that's pretty much helming this thing. I mean, that's pretty much being polarized and being put out there, right? Is David Grush. Now, he came out a while back ago talking about how we have these things, we don't know where they came from, and they are non-human. Quote, these are his words now. So you take it for however you want. This is what this gentleman said. Yep. And we want to go a little bit over of what he said on these. Pretty much these are key takeaways on what he said on this congressional open hearing, which happened 2 days ago. We're recording this on the 29th on Saturday. So hopefully everybody has a fantastic weekend too. I mean, started when this releases on Friday. TGIF. But yes, so we're gonna go over kind of the takeaways on what he discussed while he was in this open congressional hearing. So let's just dive into a little bit. In the scenes that felt reminiscent of the science fiction movie, the U.S. Congress held a public hearing on claims the government is covering up its knowledge of UFOs. Unsurprisingly, the hearing generated huge interest in the U.S. and around the world as it heard from 3 key witnesses, including David Grush, and whistleblower former intelligence official who in June claimed the U.S. has possession of, quote, intact and partially intact alien vehicles. UFOs have become a high-profile news story in recent years. The U.S. military says it is actively trying to investigate the small number of sightings for which there are no obvious explanation. As the hearing unfolded, there were no revelations about aliens, but there were startling allegations from witnesses and the general sense that a cover-up exists somewhere in the U.S. government, as well as skepticism that has anything to do with, quote, little green men. Here are the key takeaways. Now we're going to go into them one by one. So, claims of cover-up. The U.S. government conducted a multi-decade program which collected and attempted to reverse engineer crashed UFOs. David Grush told the hearing, Grush, who led analysis of unexplained anomalous phenomena, UAP, within a U.S. Department of Defense agency until 2023, claimed he had been denied access to secret government UFO programs, said he has faced very brutal retaliation as a result of his allegations. He claimed he had knowledge of people who have been harmed or injured in the course of government efforts to conceal UFO information.
Wow.
So that's one of them. So let's stop here right here. Let's pause it. So now, what's another person, Brett, that we've discussed that he came out in the 80s, late 80s into the 90s, and he claimed he worked in another different area aside from Area 51, S4.
Who was on the gentleman? My boy Bob Lazar.
There you go. So now that's one question I want to ask you. Just obviously because you're my boy right here in the virtual studio, you're the perfect person to ask. Do you think this now kind of relieves Bob Lazar for him saying he was speaking the truth this whole time, or he actually saw something as what he claimed back then till now, where he was talking to Joe Rogan as of recent, saying that he saw this metallic sphere that was just causing this gravitational flow, and there was no wires or nothing attached to this thing. It was just levitating before his very own eyes.
If it were me, I think Bob Lazar should have been vindicated a long time ago, long time ago. And I think the only thing stopping vindication is full disclosure from the U.S. government. And I think that's the only time that he's going to be him and your guy here and all the other whistleblowers coming out that have seen something, that have come out to talk about it. I think the only time they're ever going to be vindicated is when the government finally admits to whatever this stuff is. Yeah, exactly. And they're just trying to keep that as tight-lipped as they can. And it's, we want to know. And, so I'll go on a little rant of mine. But first, let's go into what you're talking about with Bob Lazar.
For sure. So no, yes, he actually. So if anybody doesn't know who Bob Lazar is, do your Googles and research. It's a pretty big story that happened years ago, and he kind of came up out of nowhere when Joe Rogan asked him to be on his podcast, and he pretty much discussed what he was working on when he was hired on to reverse engineer this sphere that they found over in S4, which is an area aside from Area 51 in Nevada.
Like so now Los Alamos.
He was going to Los Alamos. Oh no, I think, dude, I swear this happens when we talk about some A1 class classified CIA, FBI, under wraps. This stuff happens. Brett freezes. I'm probably frozen on his end, but I'm going on anyways in case the video loses. But see,
Yeah,
all of a sudden, all of a
it's all
sudden,
froze. Isn't it amazing? Isn't it amazing?
every time.
Isn't it amazing?
And if you can go back, I swear, dude, it's every time we touch on these like subjects that have to involve like the government, the CIA. It's just I'm like, I mean, I'm getting kind of paranoid now. Like today, after this episode, I want to be peeking out my blinds and making sure there's not a van parked over there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, they are definitely listening. They are definitely listening. I mean, dude, I'm one presidential chef away from ending up dead on a waterboard. You know?
Oh my god. Okay, let's talk about that real quick. We like to go back and forth. Okay. So, okay, let's discuss that real quick. So now that situation kind of seemed a little fishy to me. A little sus is what the kids like to say nowadays, right?
A little.
So
a little.
This gentleman, obviously, he was Barack Obama's personal chef, right? If I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yep. He was his chef in the White House, and then when he was done with his presidency, hired him to follow him to his new home.
Okay. So he had a background of actually being an okay swimmer. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say he was like a professional swimmer by any means, or he was just like that was his niche of him doing that on the side, aside from whatever he does on a daily basis, but he could hold his own. This dude, there was videos of him that people were putting out, like, how can a person that can at least be able to swim like anybody else probably could? Not like me, I can't swim, but him, he could. I would definitely, he would definitely probably be able to save me if I was drowning. I'm definitely confident in that. But anyways, the fact that he somehow fell into what was it that he fell into? Like a
pond. It was like 8 feet of water. It was like a pond.
Like, how do you like, unless, like, again, to me, it just sounds super suspicious. Like, this is just not one of those things that it just happens. Like, you know, unless he was like tore up, like drugged, drunk or whatever. So they made it seem that, like, they're making it seem like he just drowned, went in there and he was trying to swim or whatever, and he just drowned. But then didn't they say that they found like some blunt trauma to his skull?
Yeah, and defensive marks on his hand, but it has been quickly. And there's even so Obama, Barack Obama went golfing one day, right? Well, he took off one of his gloves and he had a bunch of bandages on his fingers. And so there was a little bit of speculation there. I mean, we're talking
Are you serious?
Dude, yes, I am serious. Took off his gloves. There's bandages right there. I'm like, dude, did he just murk his own chef himself with his own hands?
He probably didn't like the lasagna he served that day or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Or I mean, he must have been really upset about something.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of rumors that swirl around the former president's sexuality, and you know, so I'm thinking, you know, and there's more rumors. So hey, people, this is just rumors, right? All you government
allegedly
listening,
right?
This is all just us just talking smack. None of it's real, maybe, but we don't know if it's real. We don't, but we're just gonna just tell you what we heard, right, through the old grapevine. So apparently this chef was there's rumor that he was writing a book, so he was getting ready to quit, and he'd been with the Obamas for all of these years, and he just had some really salacious content, and he was set to go big with it until suddenly he couldn't swim.
You know, I don't know, right? Just, you know, he could hang his own.
You know, and then you look at like the Clintons, and it was like one of his chefs ended up dying too, in something very similar. I mean, it's like, it's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy. They have this playbook that they're going by. When they know too much, this is what you do.
For sure.
And then get rid of that body as quick as you can. Don't ask questions. Don't allow media, and go golfing. But God, don't take off the gloves, man. Didn't you learn from OJ? Don't take off the gloves.
Should have taken that page out of that book, bro. But no, the internet's brutal by any means. When something like this happens, I swear we try to find the humor in everything. And obviously, in any case, right? That's just how the internet works. It's just crazy how it does. But it's like, damn, okay, that's pretty. It's humor, right? There was a meme going around saying, there was a meme going around. They're like, man, try doing that to Donald Trump's chef. He's like a big muscular.
Oh, dude, he's yeah. He looks like he eats roids for breakfast. You know?
Yeah, try doing that on him, man. I don't know, but no. more of the story, very suspicious. This is one of those stories to me that just seems super odd how this came about. I don't know. There might be something behind that. And if him actually was he was in the process of writing a book, I don't know. I mean, I'm just saying, don't call me. I'm not a super smart person, but when I see something that's super just fishy, I gotta call it for what it is, man. I don't know. Super fishy.
Yeah. Yeah, but, it definitely doesn't pass the sniff test.
No, but definitely that was a good small a side pass on that one. That was definitely actually the topic that I was actually wanted to discuss with you. But we have so much stuff to cover. But right now we're on the topic of UAPs, but very good topic, definitely. But so another keynote is the hints of violence in regards to these whistleblowers coming out and talking about what they've been through, what they've seen, and just the stuff that they actually discovered on what the government is supposedly working on. So hints of violence. Congressman Tim Burchett asked Grush if he has any personal knowledge of people who have been harmed or injured in efforts to cover up or conceal extraterrestrial technology. Grush replied, yes. Burchett asked Grush if he has heard of anyone being murdered. The former intelligence official answered, I directed people with the knowledge to the appropriate authorities.
Wow.
That's one key point, right? And obviously
that's no a yes.
Yeah, that's no surprise to me that they're going to try to threaten you. They're going to try to threaten you and your family or anybody close to you. They might take you out. Didn't David Greer, is it I'm trying to remember his name. David Greer? David Greer.
Yep.
He was saying that some of his homies too got freaking killed that were actually trying to come out and talk about all this stuff. So it's like it doesn't surprise me when they talks about, like, you know, the violence that's happening as this is transpiring before us, like people coming out wanting to, you know, for people to know the truth, like, hey, our government's working on this stuff and we're just letting you know that it's some stuff that's very, very just not from this world, and we don't know what we're messing with here. So that to me is not a surprise. So yeah, no surprise there.
Yeah, and that's kind of segues into the rant that I kind of wanted to go on.
For sure.
Now, you know, and everybody that has listened to us for any amount of time knows that I've always been a skeptic when it comes to UFOs, aliens. You know, I was more apt to believe that UFOs were more man-made technology from Germany, yada, yada, yada. But now with all of this stuff coming out, I've just noticed this weird thing going on in social media with people. And for instance, I'm reading a Tim Pool tweet, and are we still calling them tweets, by the way, now that it's X?
Oh, that it's X? I don't know. That's a good question.
I was reading a Tim Pool X. And he was just saying, like, how he doesn't give an F about all this UFO stuff, as if it's like one big distraction. Now, normally I would agree with a sentiment like that. I would say, you know, like, maybe, you know, there is a cover up. Maybe we're trying to cover up the Hunter, you know, there was the Hunter Biden court case coming up, and, you know, and every time Donald Trump is in there, they try to do something, you know, whatever, crazy stuff. However, as I listened to these whistleblowers' testimonies, more and more, I realized, like, with the fact that David Greer had friends and associates get killed for releasing too much information, the fact that so many people, Bob Lazar had his whole life scrubbed. They tried to erase any type of evidence all the way back to his school, that he didn't even exist, you know, so they tried to make him look like he was just this kook. And for the people that have come out and risked their whole career, gave up their pensions, gave up their livelihoods just to come out and tell the truth, because they apparently saw something so big that they're risking everything to come out and go all the way to Washington, D.C. to speak to the people via Congress, all these congressional hearings. So that's when I'm like, I'm just kind of adding everything up. Like, okay, there's got to be something going on. And the fact that there's so many people that are just nonchalant with this, treating it like they disregard it, like, oh, they're just trying to distract us. There's something going on.
Yeah.
And we have to, I think that it's very important that we put as much attention on this as we can while strike while the iron's hot. We've got to put some focus on this, and this nonchalant stuff. these people are not paying attention to this stuff. They're just not. And you know, again, I have always been a skeptic, but now with all of these testimonies coming out, I'm like, okay, there's got to be something going on. There's something going on.
For sure. And I gotta add to that, right? Like when you know people are getting marked and killed for this, and again, why would you want to put your career, yourself in the limelight? Because people are going to ridicule you. There's going to be a ton of people that are just going to say that you're a liar, you're not telling the truth, you want this for fame, you just want the attention, blah blah blah. And I agree. Like those are questions that I would probably like, or I would think like, you know, why would they want to, like, no, it's just a bunch of baloney, right? Like, I'm really just me thinking about it. Like if I wanted to think the way I think right now, right? But it's just kind of hard to pass that if you have multiple people in these high levels, especially in the force, like in the army in general. Like these people have serious jobs here to defend the country. Why would they put themselves at risk and put themselves out there, their names, their face, to just say like, yeah, we've come across something that just doesn't seem human or doesn't seem like something that we have technology wise? And especially David Grush, like him actually seeing these documents firsthand, just sounds legitimate to me. Like, I don't know. It really piqued my interest at that point. That's where my radar just went through the roof. Because at that point, it's like you have these people coming out and really like you can just tell that they're like almost they're like in battles with themselves to even think like, is this even worth it for me to put myself on the line to come out and really speak the truth for the benefit of the people, for us to know that there's stuff that the government's hiding from us and they're keeping it to themselves for whatever reason, obviously for money, for the tech, all that stuff. But you know, we actually, I just think we just deserve the right to know. That's just my opinion. Again, I could be wrong, but...
I mean, you look at some of these people. Some of these people have lost marriages over this stuff. Some of these people have lost, I mean, like I said, their jobs, their livelihood, and you know, in very dark spots. And not everybody that spoke, you know, not all these whistleblowers are known whistleblowers. A lot of these people are people we've never even heard of and may never hear of again, had it not been for the likes of David Greer to bring these people out and really give them a voice to say, no, you should be talking about this, you know. And if you're willing to risk your life, and you know, I mean, when people can mock you and ridicule you all you want, that's just getting off easy, you know. It's, as much as that sucks, at least you're still breathing.
For sure.
But you know, when you know too much, the government always finds a way to have you go missing.
Dude,
and it's no questions asked these days. Nobody's asking questions.
Yeah, it's just kind of like you sweep it on the rug, never heard about it again. Let's just push forward. That's it.
Yeah,
that's the scariest thing of it all to me personally. It's crazy. So in regards to witnesses, right? This is the segue that we go into witnesses and other claims. Other witnesses at the hearing were David Fravor. We've talked about Fravor too. His experience or his situation that he was in when he saw these things firsthand, it's crazy. A former
his
Navy
was the Tic Tac on the Navy ship, right?
Navy ship, yes. So a former Navy commander who recalls seeing a strange object in the sky while on a training mission in 2004, Ryan Graves, a retired Navy pilot who was since founded Americans for Safe Aerospace, a UAP nonprofit, claimed that he saw a UAP off the Atlantic coast every day for the last couple of years. The sightings were not rare or isolated and were being witnessed by military air crews and commercial pilots whose lives depend on accurate identification, Graves said. Graves said UAP objects have been detected essentially where all Navy operations are being conducted across the world. Asked if there were any common characteristics to the UAPs that have been cited by different pilots, Graves says sightings were primarily of dark gray or black cubes inside of a clear sphere where the apex or tips of the cube were touching the inside of the sphere.
What does that even mean?
Oh, bro, I don't know. You know, here we are thinking like, you know, it's kind of crazy to think, you know, we went through the whole COVID debacle, right?
Yeah.
Fast forward, now to me, it just seems like UFOs, UAPs is like to me, it just, again, this is from my personal perspective. We're going through this whole thing of finding out the truth, and you have people coming out to speak about this stuff, like stuff like this, right? I haven't never even heard of this one where it says dark gray or black cubes inside of a clear sphere where the apex or tips of the cube were touching the inside of the sphere. I know
that seems so weird. That's what I'm saying. Like, what is that all about? I don't even, you know, but you know, the thing is like for us, it seems so sudden, right?
Yeah.
I think that these people who are fighting and advocating for disclosure, they have been punching for years. I mean,
Yep.
Bob Lazar has been talking about this since the 80s. We went through the 90s going through this, the early 2000s, 2010. We're now in 2020, in the 2020s, and we're just now finally getting it to mainstream, where when Tucker Carlson was on Fox, he was bold enough to put some of this stuff, that the Tic Tac videos on Fox News, mainstream news. And so so for us it seems like, oh wow, they're, this is like the flavor of the week.
Yeah.
But no, these guys have been punching and punching and punching and begging and pleading and doing anything they could to get this stuff out for decades. And it's just now finally happening. And I think that it's just like when a dam is about to explode, right? There's definitely cracks in the dam, and as long as that pressure doesn't relent, they can knock this dam over. And the truth can be told eventually. You can only run for so long once the dam breaks. So that's what I want to see. And they say that we're not going to be ready for what that. No, we will be. It's just that I think that what they're trying to do is they're trying to come up with a gameplay to consolidate power to keep us under their control still. And I think that once all this news comes out, there might be some mass hysteria that goes on for a while, but once we adapt to it and accept it, that's just going to be the new normal, and so, but we deserve the truth. I mean, we've had it hidden from us for so long. Too many people have had their lives destroyed for too long. Too many people have went missing, have died, and not to mention the suicides from the people that couldn't handle the pressure, Yeah,
man. It's crazy. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. So now, one of the crazy stories that I've embarked on, I actually heard it a couple weeks ago. I actually shared it with you a little bit. I like to throw you all the stuff that I kind of touch base with, so you can at least have a little kind of something to do a little digging behind, so we know kind of we're on the same page in regards to the stuff when we talk about it here on the podcast. Now, I do want to make one correction. I apologize. It's not David Greer. It's actually Stephen M. Greer.
Thank you.
Who the gentleman is. I want to make sure I give the lovely listeners and viewers the correct names here. I'm sorry. I'm trying to juggle all this info as I receive it and I save it. I try to remember all these names. But,
okay.
I'm horrible at remembering names. So people, I apologize. I'm sorry. Stephen M. Greer. So a little background on him. He's an American UFOologist and a retired physician who founded the Center of the Study of Extraterrestrial Intelligence, CSETI, and the Disclosure Project, which seeks the disclosure of alleged classified UFO information. Now, he actually held a public hearing as well. Mm-hmm. He had a couple gentlemen that actually had some pretty wild incidences where they were involved in, where they saw something that they just had no clue what it was, and then come to find out it had to do with some secret programs the government is funding somehow, some way. Yeah. One of them all, one of the very craziest stories that I've heard, that I could not stop thinking about it that day that I heard about. I had to call you that day and told you, like, dude, this one really, it really kind of just made me think of like what else is out there, man, that we have no clue in regards to these programs that is being funded by the government somehow. And we're gonna dive into this right away. It's pretty surreal. So Marine vet breaks 14-year silence to make astonishing claim that his 6-man unit saw a hovering octagonal UFO being loaded with weapons by unmarked U.S. forces who threatened them at gunpoint while serving in Indonesia in 2009. Former Marine Michael Herrera tells Daily Mail that he saw a UFO being loaded with weapons while serving in Indonesia in 2009. Herrera claims an Air Force lieutenant colonel told him, "You are not allowed to talk about what happened. You will go to prison or you will die." He says he was emboldened to break his 14-year silence by new UFO whistleblower protections, and in April testified under oath about his wild story. Mm-hmm. A former Marine claims he and his 5 men saw a flying saucer being loaded with weapons while serving in Indonesia in 2009 and was threatened at gunpoint by unmarked U.S. forces at the scene. The wild story comes after an Air Force whistleblower from the government's UFO office joined growing numbers of intelligence officials claiming the U.S. has recovered and is even reverse engineered crashed or landed non-human spacecraft. Wow. Michael Herrera was a 20-year-old rifleman sent to the Navy humanitarian mission during the 2009 Sumatra earthquake and tsunami that devastated the region. In an exclusive interview with Daily Mail, he claims that while guarding an airdrop of aid supplies outside the city of Padang in October that year, his 6-man unit stumbled across a hovering octagonal craft in apparent use by clandestine U.S. forces. After 14 years of silence, Herrera has emboldened by new UFO whistleblower protections in April, and in April testified under oath to the government's UFO investigation team, an Ultimate Anomaly Resolution Office (AARO), as well as a Senate committee. He provided in his unblemished 4-year service record and text about the incident with an alleged fellow witness who refused to talk, saying it was not worth my life or jeopardizing my family. Aspects of his account were verified by DailyMail.com using military sources, but Herrera 33 does not have documentation or photos of the incident itself. The Denver native joined the Marines fresh out of high school. He had been serving for less than 2 years when he was deployed to the Philippines as a member of the 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit to help distribute aid in the wake of a typhoon. When a 7.6 magnitude earthquake struck Sumatra on September 30th, 2009, his 2nd Battalion, 5th Marines Echo Code 2nd Platoon has rerouted to help guard helicopter airdrops around Padang City, beset by violence formal local insurgents. Around October 8th, he and 5 Marines were dropped off at a clearing in the northeastern part of the city by a CH-53 chopper in height 900 feet up a ridge to take their positions for the incoming supply drop, Herrera said. It was then when he spotted a strange object in the jungle on the other side of the hill. I could see something moving and rotating. It was changing colors between a very light matte gray to a very dark matte black, he said. It stuck out like a sore thumb. Oddly, he said, they had not been given radios, so instead of calling it, they edged down the hill in formation to investigate. While Herrera snapped photos and video on his Panasonic camera, that thing was massive, the size of a football field, Herrera told DailyMail.com. The craft was rotating in a clockwise motion while changing colors. It had an audible hum to it, like the sound of a transformer or a guitar amp. It was in an octagonal shape with a pyramid at the top of it that was black. It had scales that were on the outside of the craft that covered the whole craft. It had seams and sharp edges, which I suspect to be man-made. Nothing on it was smooth. It had some panels on the vertical edges like they were Vanta Black. So Vanta Black's like this really super dark color. There was actually a car that they painted this Vanta Black. It's like black to where it seems like it's invisible as you look into the car. It's that deep dark black. So according to the AARO statistics of UFO reports between 1996 and 2023, only 1% are polygons like an octagon, 2% disc-shaped, while 52% are orbs or spherical. However, an object shot down in February over Lake Huron, Michigan by F-16 fighter jets after the first missile missed was described in an octagonal by Congress members briefed on the incident. Herrera claimed that when he and his 5 comrades got within 100 feet of the craft, they were ambushed by 8 men wearing black camouflage bulletproof vests, wielding M4 rifles with high night vision attachments given to elite U.S. troops. They had their weapons drawn on us, he said. We could audibly hear their weapon safety levers flipping off safe. Who the fuck are you guys? Who the F are you guys, pretty much? What are you doing here? 2 of them yelled with American accents, he said. They said we weren't supposed to be there and they could kill us. As the men continued to threaten them, took the Marines' weapons, dumped their ammunition, scanned their military IDs. Herrera said he saw others loading large weapon cases and other containers from modified Ford F-350 trucks onto the platform beneath the craft. The last 2 trucks finished unloading and drove off. The lower part of the platform rose off the ground to about 10 feet, and the crowd lowered to meet it, and it came together into one piece, he said. On the corners of the craft, it had lights that were changing between blue, red, yellow, and green. It rose off the ground and a little past the trees. They shot off to our left towards the ocean at around 4,000 miles per hour. We can't believe this fucking happening. From the dead stop, it didn't make any sound like a sonic boom. It didn't disturb the trees like rotor washwood. We could see coconuts on the trees, and none of them were disturbed, Herrera said. The 8 unmarked soldiers gave them their unloaded guns and marched them back over the hill, still telling us how they could kill us. Once we got over the hill, they told us to get the fuck away from here and don't look back. The 6 Marines ran to the airdrop site and were scolded by their gunnery sergeant for returning early, Herrera said, adding that they all kept quiet about the disturbing encounter. I was fucking scared, the veteran said. I was thinking I could have been killed. How the hell am I going to explain this? Back to the USS Denver, Herrera's unit were debriefed by a rear admiral he didn't recognize. He said it was odd to have such a high-ranking officer there, and again, none of them mentioned the saucer and armored troops. A few days later, they were docked in Subic Bay in the Philippines. The Marine said after the evening of drinking with his colleagues, he returned to find his camera's card and battery removed from the locked locker, along with his 5 comrades' phones missing. In early December 2009, he was back at Camp Hansen in Okinawa, Japan. He was told to report to the office where he found an Air Force lieutenant colonel in full uniform but with no name tag. He starts telling me, "You're not allowed to talk about what happened, not to your chain of command, not even a general." Herrera said, "You will go to prison or you will die." He told me to keep my mouth shut and slid a paper to me which was an NDA. The only thing I can recall is that it said TS/SCI, top secret sensitive compartmented information, and it had Indonesia on it. The rifleman said he signed it and was told to get the fuck out of there. I ran back to the barracks and haven't told about it ever since. It's something I've kept secret for almost 14 years, but I've thought about it every single day. He left the Navy in October 2011. His certificate of release showing 4 years of active duty and medals for National Defense Service, Global War on Terrorism Service, Humanitarian Service, Sea Service Deployment, and a sharpshooter rifle badge. Herrera made several $1 million as an entrepreneur and now runs a private security company called Valkyrie Eye. New UFO whistleblower protections enacted in December prompted the ex-Marine to finally tell his story.
Yeah. So one thing in his story that was really crazy was talking about how the military would be dispersed during emergencies.
Yeah.
And did you ever hear the part where he's talking about the vacuums for humans?
So he says that. Okay, so that part, good thing you brought that up. So
yeah,
he tells this story on in a open hearing by Stephen Greer that he put together with other whistleblowers as well that had incidences that they've gone through where they experienced something similar like this. So in that, I'll have to put the link up on this because this is very interesting. It's out there. It's on YouTube, but I'll put it up so people can listen to it. It's about a 30-minute listen, but he talks about how in that opening hearing, he was talking about how he saw these containers. He didn't know what they had him in them. He was clueless about that, but he also saw these wooden crates that looked like they had weapons in them. Another whistleblower came out as of recent and said that he knew about that operation that happened during that time that he was there. Now, this gentleman claims that it has to do with human trafficking. And that's the wildest thing of it all. So now they're transporting illegal weapons or weapons in general, and now they're trafficking in humans. So, and then he also stated, he's like, why were they? He was talking about this on the Sean Ryan podcast. He was saying, why would they do that in the middle of this catastrophic event that happened with the typhoon? And I think it was Sean that said, well, what would be the perfect opportunity to get humans that either supposedly died, just went missing? That would be the perfect opportunity to come in and just take a bunch of people and get out of there.
Exactly.
It's true. And I'm like, dude, that's where it really rocked my brain. I'm like, this is like so much. This is probably one of the most crazy stories that I've heard in regards to just anybody coming out, aside from Bob Lazar saying that he actually, seen this technology, but to him see something like that just blew his mind. But again, had people from higher ranks, which if it's the Army, these special programs, that he saw and said, these people were from America. Never seen, never heard of this type of program ever existing, but these guys were doing stuff that were just no go on my end.
No, I mean it going against the Constitution at every corner.
Oh, dude,
and not wearing any name tags, no signia to identify what branch they're at. Nothing. But he knew they were American. They had American vehicles, F-350s, and and just to know, or just to hear him report that that we have U.S. government that is behind now human trafficking, and this is right around the time that the movie, blockbuster movie Sound of Freedom has been released, and there's been a whole lot of suppression on that, a lot of mainstream and even government suppression. They do not want this movie. Disney tried to shelf that movie for 5 years before they crowdfunded enough money to get it released independently, through what, Angel Studios. So I mean, like, I'm just saying, I've been saying it for a while. We are on the cusp of so much truth and honesty. I don't think we're going to be able to. I don't think America as a country would be able to survive. There's no way that we would survive as a nation when we find out all of these sick and evil and diabolical things that our government is responsible for. The rest of the world hates us anyway for starting all these wars and all their lands and all that. But once the people find out what they're doing to our own people and to other people in other countries, this country will cease to exist.
Yeah,
there will be a rising.
Yeah, and I think it's for me, I kind of feel like this in regards to everything going on, which is whether if it's we were talking about human trafficking, UFOs, UAPs. Maybe this is something that we can actually finally realize it's just people living on this country that obviously we're all against that. But human trafficking by far, especially child human trafficking, is insane, dude. Like, and to think that's going to be, they're saying it's already probably broken the most ways they make money illegally, aside from selling weapons and drugs, that it's on the verge of being number one. And as a parent, we're both parents, right? And we know a bunch of other people that we associate ourselves that are parents. We should find common ground to think that we should all be against this stuff, that this should actually bring us together to be like, we got to watch out for our own. We got to watch out for our kids, especially that. Like, I mean, by all means, like, if it's one thing we can find common ground is we definitely want to definitely perish anybody that would even be involved in doing something like that. And to think that this, again, allegedly, this is what this person is saying, the whistleblower that is nameless, he was saying that if their own government's involved in this, it's a lot of stuff that's just one of the things, man. That's just one of the things. So it's like we should probably looking at the government saying they're probably the biggest enemy out of everybody else, man.
And then and then we wondered why this whole time that when JFK was in office before he turned into goulash, that he wanted to dismantle the CIA. He himself saw that they were reckless in the early 60s, and now look at where they're at now. They're literally a dragon. They're a fire breathing dragon.
Yeah. And one other thing that I actually wanted to mention in that story too, aside from those containers that they're saying that it could supposedly contain bodies and stuff, they were being shipped out as well. Another thing that he said that was really that kind of caught interest was that the way there were those unidentified people, like those soldiers, right?
Yeah,
they were doing all these, like, they were always 2 steps ahead, meaning that they knew kind of protocols that even themselves, like, that they would do in something if that were to happen, another different type of intruder were to happen. It's like they knew already what to do and were so like on point with everything that they were doing in regards to just their stances, the way they were holding their guns, to what they had. Even like when he came with his when Herrera came with his 5 other soldiers with him, they were their weapons and all. It's like, dude, like,
well, and he had a camera too as well, right?
And somehow they took the card and they took the battery out of it too as well.
The battery and the memory card, and it was locked in his locker. And so they were able to go into his locker, and when he got his camera back, it was missing the card and the batteries.
Yeah. And also to the unnamed the officer that was waiting for him to sign the NDA and told him, hey, either you go to jail for the rest of your life or you're gonna get killed. It's like,
yep.
Why would you even I don't know, man. That to me overall though, the craziest story. And yeah, man, I definitely wanted to share on the pod and just let the people know about it, man.
And I just think that people like Tim Pool, and people of his belief, you guys are just you gotta pay attention to this stuff. You gotta really open your eyes and see that something is going on. There's too much going on for this to be a distraction to a Hunter Biden case. We don't even care about Hunter Biden at this point. He can snort coke right off the balcony on the front of the White House for all I care.
Yeah.
But this story, this needs to come out.
Yeah.
So let Hunter go. If this is all the distractions about, let him go. Who cares?
Yeah.
We want real stuff here.
For sure. No, definitely for sure. And also I want to add another thing, the final nail to this story.
Yeah.
As of current, Michael Herrera was saying that because Sean had asked him like, do you feel like they have their eyes on you in regards to you actually coming out, being on this podcast and speaking out? Because he had met him at the Stephen Greer's open hearing about this stuff. And he even said himself in that interview that he's like, yeah, I have helicopters flying over my house at low altitudes.
Yeah.
Like, I know that he's like, I know they're trying to mess with me. I know they're trying to distill fear in me. He's like, but you know what? He's like, I already had to say what I had to say. I'm fortunate enough that I actually have, because he runs security business for personal security. And he's like, I have people that are watching my back too, looking out for my best interest. But he's like, I know that I gotta just keep my eyes on every corner, because I just don't want to end up being another, he said, he made a joke about the whole Epstein thing. Epstein didn't kill himself. He's like, I would never kill myself. So yeah, man. I mean, they're trying to hush a lot of people up, and that's how they do it. Intimidation and just trying to threaten you. And it's. I mean, I couldn't even imagine living my life every day knowing like he's like, I got to wake up, pretty much, making sure that I'm gonna live to see the next day as well. And it's like, dude, all that pressure like that, man. To think like, why would you want to do something like this? And that also goes back to what we were saying earlier. Why would you want to do it? To your putting your life first, your kids, if you have kids, your wife. I mean, bro, it's a serious matter, man. I mean,
I know.
Done.
I know.
You know what I'm saying?
Crazy. And I think that's what it took for me to finally start leaning on the other side, that there's more to this. It was these testimonies right here that was the catalyst for me.
For sure. So for sure.
Yeah.
But aside from UFOs and UAPs, there's also a talk about this worldwide currency, or this nation, this currency,
world coin.
Yes. Okay. So let's talk about that. That's something that kind of piqued my interest as well. And I know you had some stuff on it. Let's close this baby out with this interesting little topic here we have in regards to universal money, or whatever you want to call it.
So everybody's heard of OpenAI, right? ChatGPT CEO Sam Altman. Okay, so now he and his cronies are coming out with this cryptocurrency called WorldCoin. And his whole plan on this is to give everyone a world identity, right? Where you can go to this this orb that looks like a spherical eyeball almost. There's a camera in it, and they'll give you 25 of these WLD tokens, and in return you will let them scan your eyeball, and they will have your biometric data. And so what they're saying is this is supposed to basically be an introduction to UBI, universal basic income. So when AI, which is so funny because he's literally the one that is creating all of the job displacement with the AI, and then now he's suddenly saying, oh, but I'm also coming up with the cure, which is the world coin.
Yeah.
So, but it's the biggest Ponzi scheme, and it's the biggest control that I mean, this is bigger than Madoff. This is bad. This is going to hurt a lot of people. And you guys, you think you're getting money, you're losing everything. If this thing catches on the way that it does, but you're giving your biometric data away to this company. And then he's saying, well, we just want to make sure that when people get onto the internet, that we have your biometric data, and you put in your information, and we know that it's a human on the computer as opposed to the AI that we've created. So, it's so bizarre that people are going into this. And so they have put these orbs into all these different cities all around the world, and people have been standing in lines that are endless. And I think they said that they got 1 million or 2 million on their first day, something like that. And so the people that get paid are orb operators. So that's a scam in and of itself, because if you're an orb operator and you're getting paid to get as many people as you can, Well, what's to say that you're not going to start going to homeless people and like, hey, here's, I'm going to
real quick.
Skid Row. I'm going downtown Seattle, and I'm just gonna tell all these homeless people I'll buy them a bucket of chicken, and then, but all you have to do for this bucket of chicken is to scan your retina, and then so all these operators are getting paid all this money to get all this thing. So anyway, so what it comes down to is, like, Bitcoin was created as a way to hold governments, well, departments of treasury, central banks, anybody who can manipulate currency to keep them in check, because there is only a finite amount of Bitcoin that exists in the world. This world coin was created in thin air by venture capitalists. If you look at like who is all involved in this thing, I don't have a picture here, but it's showing all these companies that are saying, yeah, we funded this, we funded this, we funded this. Then there's Sam Altman in there, plus 70 other billionaires. So they get 20% of the token. So how this Ponzi scheme works is they dump the market, right? Well, once people have their money, right? If everybody all has money, it makes money worthless. But all they have to do is dump the bag and let everybody hold worthless tokens, but then they get the money. So not only did they get your biometric data, but then they got to dump the bags on you, and they get to keep the money. These guys are already billionaires. They're now to the point of greed where they're taking, like, they're high on greed right now. They've lost all control. However, they're duping millions of people all over the world.
Insane. So it's like you're pretty much making an imaginary coin, try to involve AI with it, and yeah, it's like you're saying you're pretty much making like a what we call a shit coin, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's so many, like you said, you could actually go down and find yourself a bunch of homeless people and be like, hey, I'll buy you a beer if you want to scan your retina real quick.
Yep.
And you get whatever you get in return, right? I don't know, man. It just seems so unrealistic to me, man. But you're saying you have people lining up for it, right?
Everywhere. I mean, I've been on, I'm in these crypto chats, and there was this guy that used to be in our chat room until he started getting all crazy. And now I saw why he went all crazy, because he went off starting promoting this WorldCoin thing. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing? And he's just like showing himself in Paris, lining up to scan his retina. And I'm just like, my man, you are one foolish being. You are one foolish dude. So, but the thing is like, okay, so for right now, it's only this private company, OpenAI, or whoever, this WorldCoin Orb company is. They own your data now, right? But what does it take if a government says, hey, I need all of that data? Now, all this, there's no such thing as privacy anymore. Yeah. So now all the government has to do is file a court order and get all of everything that they want. Everything that you didn't want to give the government, they can take with a single court order.
Yeah.
And then they can do all kinds of things. They can manipulate, they can, they can implicate you in crimes. They can go back and say, hey, we saw with your biometric data, we saw you going through a traffic light, and all of a sudden you're paying $10,000 in tickets because they finally could identify the person that was, in the camera. I mean, it's, and then, and we haven't even got to the point where we're, those of us, the skeptics, we're all waiting for this thing, this world currency that people can say, you, like China right now, you don't have enough social credit points to ride the bus. You don't have enough social credit points to go to college. You don't have enough social credit points to live in your house anymore.
Dude,
you're now
it's
evicted.
Insane, dude. I've seen like some again, what are they calling this instead of Twitter? X? What is that they're calling it now? X,
yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
On X that I've been seeing, dude. it is insane over there in China, bro. Like you're right. You have a low social credit score. If you got speeding, they will deduct social credit score points. And also, there's certain neighborhoods, like if you live in a certain like top-notch area where it's like a nice area, right?
Yeah.
If you have a low social credit score, can't go in, not even to where you live. And also buying like going into vending machines or buying certain things, it's crazy, man. It's crazy how they have that stuff up there, dude. There's no way I would have wanted it over here, but
like real life 1984, real life Hunger Games, real life dystopian nightmare. You know, it's like happening right before our eyes, and seeing so many gullible, naive people. I'm just like, how stupid are you? How stupid are you?
Oh, it doesn't exist. No, that will never happen here.
Oh,
well,
yeah,
it's happening somewhere, so it's real.
If I
so
do this, they'll call me the good guy. Yeah. Oh yeah, okay. You keep thinking that you're gonna be the good guy for a while until you're not.
Dude, it's wild, man. No, it's pretty crazy over there, especially like that they have like cameras every single area you can imagine, man. Like to where facial recognition, they have all the data that they need. They have you pinpointed out to where you're just a number, and if you don't meet this quota or whatever, or this certain number on the social credit score system, nope, can't do this, can't do that. Can't even get gas. There's one that I saw. This gentleman couldn't get gas because he didn't even have the social credit score needed for you to get inside to get gas for your car.
And it's probably a crime. Like say I had a low credit score, low social credit score, and you had a high social credit score. It's probably a crime for you to get gas for me.
Oh, man.
Right?
I bet.
Because like I'm sure that your bank account is locked to where if you did give me gas, there's not even a way I could pay you back.
Yeah.
You know, it's insane. This is why are we allowing this to happen? Allowing ourselves to get treated like we are less than human. Having control like this, you're getting treated like you're already a prisoner. Like you've already committed a crime. And all you did, you know, and so it's because we're letting our governments do this. And this is why people like me and people like you are saying this stuff, is because there's only so much that we're going to let the government do before we're like, okay, this is our red line. Yeah. You're not going to take over our currency, you know, and that's why I'm into crypto, is because, you know, I need an exit plan. I need an exit plan. This country is scaring the hell out of me right now.
Dude, I know, man. Trust me. With everything going on, bro, it's becoming very different quickly. I'll just say that. So, and that's what we do here, though. We like to spread the word for everybody, kind of get their little engines going and think about other stuff. You know, it's not to sit here and say like we're trying to scare people or anything like that. It's just kind of keeping up to date in the format of a way like we would just kind of discuss with anybody if we were to kind of cross paths, start a conversation, and just get into all these topics and just discuss with what's going around us. You know what I'm saying? And just talk about it from different perspectives, different views, different ways. I mean, it's just a matter of conversation, right? And then we just like to put it out there for the people to know, be like, oh, dang, I didn't know that, or dang, this is interesting. I'm gonna do my due diligence to go there and do my own research and just go from there. You know what I'm saying? So just kind of bringing the topics up and then letting the masses, you know, discuss it as they may or think about it however they want to. So yeah, that's kind of what we
just want to be able to, I just want to be able to put this in your ears, plant this, you know, seed, so that you, when you're sitting at the dinner table with your family, right, you can be like, you know what I heard on the Beyond Expectation podcast today, right? You can just mull this stuff over with your family and let you decide if the sky is falling or not. You know?
Right. Is the sky green? Is the sky blue?
Right.
Knows, right?
You know,
are we living in an are we living in a, what is it? They call it in an augmented reality. Is this real?
What if we were, right?
Right.
I mean, you know, it's like, you know, do I want to join the military and then accidentally see UFOs, see some things I'm not supposed to see? Do I want to be a chef for a president?
They get murdered.
Do I want to have my own island and die in a prison? I mean, kill myself in a prison, you know?
Hang yourself, right? That's what
just hang yourself in a prison, you know?
Or like
and we still have no list of anybody who is involved in this stuff, by the way.
The wildest thing from that. If people don't know what we're referring to, taking slight jabs at the whole Jeffrey Epstein thing. Still, no names. Ghislaine Maxwell, that it has become so quiet. Nobody talks about it. Nothing. Like, where is it? Where's this list? Where's all the people that were involved in this? She knows. I'm sure she knows. But They're just trying
well,
to give her lip shield.
she wants to live, right?
Yeah.
So she's probably had some visits to say, hey, you don't want to, you're going to keep it zipped. But I'm sure half of Washington, D.C. is on that list. I'm sure. And when I say Washington, D.C., it's these senators from all over the country. So we have people, yeah, it's not crazy. Good.
It's dicey, in other words,
my boy dicey.
Says. Yeah, definitely. But aside from that, brother, woo! I mean, that's pretty much.
We did it again.
Oh, dude, I know. We always like to come in full throttle and just kind of roll the dice to just see where we go with this. But there's definitely a lot to talk about, obviously, and of course, we definitely have our things we got to tend to aside from the podcast, but also we want to have stuff to talk about on our next episode. So definitely stay tuned for that and for more to come. But
and hopefully the next podcast, like, you don't see just one of us showing up with welled up eyes, bloodshot eyes, and having to report the bad news.
I hope not. Like, we joke about it all the time. It's just crazy to think, though. Honestly, it's we have these little minor interruptions through the podcast. We have these technical difficulties, and just somehow either me or Brett, we end up freezing and something's happening. But I mean,
technical difficulties,
cool, right? Something's happening. All I'm saying, and now I'm paranoid, like I was saying earlier, and I know my boy is too, has been. So we're gonna wrap this one up before you see a freaking crew of people just bust inside the virtual studio, taking yours truly and my boy away.
Exactly.
But nonetheless, hopefully everybody has a fantastic Friday when this drops. Go listen to our past previous episodes if you haven't. Stay up to tune with the dynamic duo with everything we put out in the past. You can check out our stuff on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, you name it. We're everywhere. But do yourself a favor. I made it easy for everybody. Down below, there's a QR code. Take your phone out, take a picture of it, boom, direct you to our Linktree links where you can be directly directed into every platform we're on. It'll make it easy.
Directly directed. I like that.
Yeah. I just wordplay.
Smooth.
Smooth. So have a fantastic Friday. Fantastic weekend. We'll catch you in the next one. We love you. Stay safe out there. All right, people. Peace.